Daily Strength. This is Joe Stowell asking the question, who's holding all the cards? Our text, Ruth 2, verse 1. To borrow a phrase from poker, some people seem to hold all the cards. They are dealt a winning hand, while the rest of us do the best with what few resources we might have. And with the winner-takes-all frame of mind, many of these high-profile, prosperous people manipulate and maneuver their wealth and power to pursue their own interests and advance their own cause. Well, we all know that type. In the story of Ruth, Boaz holds all the cards. He enters the scene as a man of great wealth and power. Yet I have to tell you that I'm struck by several aspects of his life that set him apart from the typical guy who indeed does hold all the cards. I love the fact that he willingly aligns his resources with God's heart for the poor and needy. God outlined in Levitical law that those who didn't have the resources to survive could be what the Bible calls gleaners, gathering grain that intentionally was left at the edge of the fields during harvest time. Boaz lived in a time when everyone did what was right in their own eyes, and after a devastating famine, he could easily have ignored God's heart for the poor to secure an abundant harvest for himself. But, unlike other wealthy landowners of his day, he still welcomed gleaners to his field. It was a tangible display of God's love for the needy. God also provided ways in which foreigners could be welcomed in Israel. Again, Boaz aligned himself with God's heart. Even for a Moabite from enemy territory, he could have cast Ruth aside when he learned that she was not a Jew. Instead, he opened his heart to her. Sometimes we don't want other kinds of people to move into our neighborhood, but God is actually delighted when they do. It's an opportunity for us to do what Boaz did, to open our hearts to different people who could use a tangible expression of God's love and grace in their lives. Not only did Boaz use his resources to care for the needy and the poor, and to welcome a foreigner to his field, he desired to see God's blessing poured out on Ruth, and then proceeded to be the instrument of God's blessing in her life. He became the answer to her prayers. Boaz was also abundantly generous in his care for Ruth. Once again, he put his treasures where God's heart is. It is the character of God to be a generous God, as Ephesians 5:3-20 says, who is able to do far more abundantly than all we ask or think. So, when was the last time you planned to cooperate with God and to be an answer to someone else's prayers? You may think, yeah, easy for Boaz, he had all the cards. But we have some cards. Whether big or small, there's always something you and I can do to bring the heart of God to a needy life that crosses our path. Besides, God is the one who really holds all the cards. He shares his resources with us not for us to consume them on ourselves, but to share them for his glory and for the good of others. So life is not about really holding all the cards. From God's point of view, it's what you do with your cards. Use them as God would to bless others who cross your path.